welcome back to a new week of What's for Dinner. I tried to be a little bit more unique and fun this week with the recipes, so I hope you enjoy them and I hope you get some meal inspiration. So let's get straight to it. To get us started off, we're going to be making some homemade spaghetti. I absolutely love homemade spaghetti, and it's one of my husband's favorite foods. So to begin, in my Dutch oven, I added some olive oil. I let that get hot, and then I added in 1 pound of some lean ground beef. Now that our ground beef is completely cooked and I drained out all of the excess grease, I added in 1 diced up yellow onion and I stirred this onion around and I let it get soft. This took about 5 minutes total. After that was finished, I added in our 4 cloves of garlic. If you've never made homemade spaghetti before, I really do recommend this recipe. It is just so simple to make. Next, I added in 2/3 cup of some beef broth along with our tomato paste. This is just about 12 ounces of that. For the remainder of our canned goods, we're going to be adding in 1 16-ounce can of some diced tomatoes along with a 16-ounce can of some tomato sauce. Now we're going to be adding a boost of flavor to this sauce, so I added in 1 tablespoon of some brown sugar along with 2 teaspoons of some Worcestershire sauce, 1 tablespoon of some apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, 2 teaspoons of dried basil, and a little bit of some salt and pepper to taste, and then you're going to give this a really good mix. You're going to let this simmer on your stove for about 30 to 40 minutes with the lid on, and here's what it looks like all cooked up. My house was smelling amazing. This homemade marinara sauce is wonderful. It has a ton of flavor. It really is delicious, and here's my plate. I just served it with some garlic bread and a side salad. Like I said, this was amazing. Now we're making some beef and broccoli lo mein. This recipe is so simple to make and it's really delicious. So to get it started, I'm just chopping up some broccoli along with 3 carrots, ginger, and garlic into smaller pieces. I'm going to begin to boil up our 8 ounces of some angel hair spaghetti noodles. To those noodles, I'm going to be actually adding our 3 cups of broccoli that we just chopped up right on top. That is going to cook the broccoli. For the meat that I'm using in this recipe, I'm using some flank steak and I'm using about 1.5 pounds of it. This recipe would also be great if you wanted to use tofu as kind of like a vegetarian option. I do also want to mention all of these recipes are linked down below in my description box. If you ever have trouble finding them, just email me and I will send you the recipes directly. So after I sliced that up against the grain into smaller pieces, I added it into my Dutch oven with some hot oil in it, and I cooked this on a high heat for a few minutes. You want to make sure it is cooked on a very high heat. That is going to ensure that your meat is not chewy. Now we're going to begin on this sauce. This sauce is really super good. It would even be good on stir fry if you wanted to use this sauce for that. So to begin, I'm going to be adding 1/4 cup of brown sugar to this bowl, along with 2 tablespoons of hoisin sauce, 1/4 cup of reduced sodium soy sauce. You could add in 2 teaspoons of some sesame oil. I opted out of that because I didn't have any sesame oil. Next, I added in 1/2 tablespoon of some ginger that we chopped up earlier and a little shake of some cayenne. Add more cayenne if you want it spicier. Back over to our steak. Now that it is cooked, you want to keep an eye on your steak because it does cook very quickly. I'm going to be adding in our 3 cloves of garlic, stir it around for a minute just until that garlic becomes fragrant, and then you're going to be adding in your shredded up carrots. Now that our carrots are starting to get soft a couple minutes later, I'm going to be adding in our drained pasta noodles along with the broccoli and that yummy sauce that we made up. I'm going to stir everything together and get it nicely incorporated. This is going to take a couple of minutes because you kind of want everything to be warmed through. Here is my big bowl of food. I just topped mine with some sesame seeds. Like I said previously, this came out so good. It had a ton of flavor, and it just was a great meal and a nice homemade beef and broccoli recipe. Now we're making one of my all-time favorites, coconut curry. If you've never had it before, it really is pretty good. I think you'll like it. So I'm just starting out by chopping up some ginger along with garlic, half of an onion, and 1 red bell pepper. To my Dutch oven, I have about a tablespoon of olive oil I let get hot, and then I added our onion in there, and you're going to let this onion get soft. Now that it is soft, you're going to be mincing your garlic in there and adding your ginger. Now that our garlic is nice and fragrant, we're going to be adding in our spices. So I'm adding in 2 teaspoons of some coriander. I didn't have coriander on hand. That's something I had to pick up from the store, but it was definitely worth it. It really has great flavor. And then I added in our 2 teaspoons of curry powder along with about 2 tablespoons of this red curry paste. On a medium heat, you're just going to stir all of these spices together, and you're going to do this for about a minute or so until that red begins to become a deeper red. And now you're going to be adding in your pound of diced up chicken. You could either use chicken breast or chicken thighs. I chose to use breast. And then you're also going to be adding in your red bell pepper at this point, and you're going to cook your chicken almost completely through, about 75% cooked. You're going to see that why I'm doing that in a minute. Now you're going to be adding in 1 can of some coconut milk along with your half of a lime. You'll also want to add in 1 tablespoon of some brown sugar along with 2 tablespoons of some cilantro. The cilantro is definitely optional, but it does add great flavor. So you're going to simmer this all together with the lid off until your sauce begins to thicken, and you do want your chicken to cook completely through at this point. While that was cooking, I just started on my naan. I typically make my own homemade naan, but I decided to buy it at the store. I just bought this brand just because it's quite a bit easier than making your own homemade naan. I just poured a little bit of some olive oil on mine and then sprinkled it with some parsley. Nothing too crazy. I didn't want it to make it too crazy on this night, but this was just really good. I just stuck it into the oven to bake. Here's the consistency of your curry when it is all cooked through and finished. Here is my plate. Of course, I just served it with some naan, some lime on top, and some more cilantro over some white sticky rice. This was amazing. Probably one of my favorite meals of all time. It just has some great flavor. Now we're making a sun-dried tomato creamy ravioli. This one's a really simple recipe and it has great flavor. So to get this one started, I'm just dicing up 1/4 cup of some sun-dried tomatoes. After I diced those up into some smaller pieces, I added them to a bowl, and now I'm going to be adding some tomato paste to this. If you're wondering what I'm making at this point, it's kind of like a sun-dried tomato paste. So that's essentially what it is. You could buy sun-dried tomato paste at the store, but making it at home is just a little bit cheaper. So I just mixed that together. Now to my Dutch oven, I added 2 tablespoons of butter. Once that melted down, I added my 4 cloves of garlic, stirred that around and let it get fragrant. To my pot of boiling water, I'm just adding our chicken raviolis in there. You could use any type of raviolis you like or any type of pasta, just get that boiling up. Now back over to our garlic, I'm just going to be adding in 2 tablespoons of some flour, and I'm going to whisk this together and get it incorporated. Once your flour starts to get a little bit golden in color, you're going to be adding your sun-dried tomato paste in there, and you're just going to mix this together for about a minute. And then from there, you're going to be adding in your 1/2 cup of chicken broth. Then you're going to incorporate everything together. This recipe truly couldn't get any easier. I'm just adding in my 1 cup of heavy whipping cream. I'm going to whisk it all together. And then I'm going to be adding in my 1/3 cup of Parmesan cheese along with 1/4 cup of mozzarella cheese. Again, whisk it together. And once it begins to thicken and the cheese melts down, your sauce is ready to serve. Here is my bowl of ravioli. This came out super duper good. That pasta sauce has such a nice rich flavor. I also served this with a side salad. This was just a wonderful dinner. Now we're going for a family favorite. We're making steak, tilapia, and twice-baked potato casserole. I'm going to begin on the twice-baked potato casserole first. So I just steamed about 3 large russet potatoes in the microwave. You could bake yours or anything like that. You just want them soft. Then you're going to remove the skin and put the insides into a large bowl. And now I'm going to be adding my butter. This is about 2 tablespoons of butter. I'm also adding in a 1/2 cup of some sour cream along with 2 green onions that I sliced up into smaller pieces. I did save some of the green onions for on top of this casserole though. I also cooked up about 8 strips of bacon on the stove. You just want it to be crumbled. So I added most of that bacon to this. Of course, I saved a little bit of that bacon for on top. Next, I added in my milk. This is just a 1/2 cup of milk and some cheese. I added in probably about a cup of cheese total, along with a 1/4 teaspoon of some thyme. Thyme gives it so much great flavor, and some salt and pepper to taste. To mix this up, I'm just using an electric hand mixer. I find that works best, but of course, if you don't have one, you could just use a potato masher or anything like that will work. Anyways, you're going to mix all of this together, and then you're going to taste it and add more cheese or more sour cream, milk, whatever you think it needs, just add a little bit more to that. Now I'm just adding it to my greased casserole dish. I put plenty of cheese on top and then topped it with some more of our green onions and bacon bits. This went into a preheated oven to 350 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes or until that cheese was nice and bubbly. For our steaks, I don't do anything too fancy. I just salt them, pepper them, and then sprinkle them with some of that McCormick Grill Master seasoning. I do that on both sides. And then for our tilapia, I just pour some Italian dressing on both sides of the tilapia to kind of marinate it. And then I do some garlic salt and lemon pepper. I found that this is my favorite combination of cooking tilapia. I didn't bake this or anything. I just placed this onto the grill to cook. Here is my plate of food. I just served our grilled tilapia and steak with a side salad and those twice-baked potatoes. Those twice-baked potatoes were amazing. I just love twice-baked potato casserole. It's wonderful. And that is a wrap of another week of What's for Dinner. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And of course, as always, if you are new here, we'd love to have you. So go ahead and subscribe down below the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.